Hi, I'm Tamara and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to talk to you about narcissistic personality disorder. Do you have someone who's narcissistic in your life, but you're not sure if they actually have the personality disorder? Well, I'm going to break down the criteria for you so that you can make an informed decision rather than a guess. I'm also going to give you some real life examples to give you a better picture of it. So to make this diagnosis, you have to go by what is in the DSM-5, which is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. That is the only way that someone can be diagnosed with an actual disorder. They have to be diagnosed by a professional. Let's go through some of the criteria, and I'm going to stop in between a couple of those and give you real examples, because when you hear the criteria, a lot of times you'll start to think, well, that sounds like me. Do I have the disorder? Well, if you ask yourself that, you probably don't, because most narcissists don't think they have a problem. They don't take into themselves doing anything wrong or hurting anyone's feelings. They just are very disconnected from that. I heard a lady call in the radio the other day who was convinced that she had narcissistic personality disorder because she was always doing things to get attention from people, but it really turned out that she was more so depressed, felt very much alone, and sometimes just felt like she needed someone to talk to. You have to be kind of careful with this. So they have to have significant impairment in A or B. So A is identity, excessive reference to others for self-definition and self-esteem regulation. So there's some issues with identity and self, and I'm going to give you an example of that. So there's a show called Family Boot Camp that features celebrity families that are in crisis, and the two psychologists do things to try to help these families. On one episode, there were two mothers of adult children, and the two psychologists gave them this exercise. They said, write down some things that you don't like about yourself. Now, most of us would have some struggle with that, but we would come up with something that we could say. Well, the two mothers refused to do the exercise by saying that they loved everything about themselves. They also said that they had gotten nothing out of the boot camp since they had arrived, while they refused to do the exercise. One of them said that she loved herself too much and there was nothing she could think of. But she also commented that she had been beaten down too much in her life and she refused to do that. The other one stated that she was not giving up, but that she was not doing the exercise. But she actually felt like she was moving forward by not doing the exercise. So you see why it would be difficult to work with someone with narcissistic personality disorder, because there is an issue with the self. And so if someone can't identify traits of themselves that are negative, how can you improve from them? How can you grow? How can you heal? It's like they put up a block. And that's why sometimes when you're arguing with a narcissist, it may be very difficult because they could hit you and not think that they did, or lie and say that they didn't. Most narcissists do not recognize any of these things in themselves. They think you're the one with the problem, not them. So B would be impairments in self-direction. Personal standards are unreasonably high in order to see oneself as exceptional, or too low based on a sense of entitlement, often unaware of one's own motivations. So I've seen some narcissists have extremely high goals that are almost impossible for people to reach, but it makes them feel like they have a certain standard, or their standards may be too low for themselves because they want to come out looking like they are fantastic. Or it could be due to a sense of entitlement, is what that's basically saying. And they must also have impairments in interpersonal functioning. So A is empathy. Impaired ability to recognize or identify with the feelings and the needs of others. excessively attuned to reactions of others, but only if perceived as relevant to self. So they don't realize when they're offending somebody or they don't acknowledge it. They might have a heightened attunement to slights towards the self. Maybe some are even imagined or no big deal, but they take it as a persecution. And they definitely have a hard time taking in the emotions of other people. If you're feeling sad, they don't really feel that sadness like most humans have the capacity to do. And B, there must be an impairment in intimacy. Relationships are largely superficial and exist to serve self-esteem regulation. So it's not about you, it's about me. And there must be pathological personality traits in the following domains. Antagonism, characterized by A, grandiosity. Haven't you ever seen that grandiose person? They have feelings of entitlement, either overt or covert, self-centeredness, firmly holding to the belief that one is better than others, and condescending towards others. And I'm going to give you an example of this right after I read B, because I think the example that I'm going to give you encompasses both. So B is attention seeking, excessive attempts to attract and be the focus of the attention of others. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example of this. Right now, it is Becca's season of The Bachelorette. And there is a guy on there. He is a classic narcissist. He's always bragging about his modeling contract. And of course, that is a great feat. But one day, the attention-seeking part, he decided to take his clothes off and run through the house. And that could intimidate the other people who were vying for Becca's attention because they would be jealous. One of the comments that he made was, "I'm one of the better looking guys in the house. Some of the guys think I'm the best looking guy in the house." Then he proceeds to break down a guy who had an injury to his face because the guy had fallen, and basically says that the guy hurt himself because I talk to God every single day. And people who talk against me just end up getting hurt sometime. He said, "I'm just lovable anyway," and says, "That's what people say about me anyway." You see? It's just all about me, 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 gloating, gloating, gloating. He says, "I'm pretty confident about getting a rose. I beat out male models all the time. And if I can beat them, I can surely beat the guys in this house." You see, it's not about the girl. It's about I'm the best. I'm the most amazing. And that's what's getting me the rose. He gets confronted a lot by the guys in the house, as some narcissists will. But he still doesn't take any ownership. He thinks it's all their fault. And why are they always so agitated at me? I mean, I'm amazing. He doesn't get why he irritates them. But people in the house kind of know there's something wrong. One night, most of the guys were just so happy that Becca wanted to spend more time with them and chose them. But he was in a corner looking angry because he was chosen last. Well, there's another guy in the house who senses his narcissism and even says that at the end of the show, that he's nothing but a narcissist. And so he proceeds to break the narcissist down every chance that he gets. And what's funny is you start to almost feel a little bit sorry for the narcissist, because it's almost like this is all he has. He doesn't have a lot of sustenance. It's all about the outer appearance. It's like there's an emptiness inside. It sort of reveals the core of the guy when he gets broken down and his only comebacks are about his outer shell. And he also doesn't quite get why he's being attacked. He brags about having 4,000 swipes on Tinder, said he was walking through the casino and had to keep all the girls away. And when he finally gets into a really big fighting match with the guy, he says, "Being me is my greatest power. Being you isn't the greatest power." So this guy shows that he really doesn't care about anyone but himself. So he ends up going on a double date with the guy that he's battling with, and one of them will definitely be eliminated. And so sometimes when you battle with a narcissist, you end up losing and they end up winning, because a lot of people may not catch on so quickly to the fact that this person is manipulating, they're a narcissist. And so it looks like when you're confronting that person, sometimes you can be the one that ends up looking bad when you actually could be correct in your thinking if you see through one of them. He went on a double date with the guy that he was arguing the most with, and the other guy ended up getting sent home on the date because the narcissist can maintain his innocence because he doesn't know what he's doing wrong. So he finally gets a one-on-one date with Becca, and then he starts turning the conversation back to himself, which is something that some narcissists do. He said, in my spare time, obviously the gym is a big deal. Being fit is the greatest part of the modeling industry. Skincare, hair, I really do put a lot of time into that, and that's where I've had my success. I'm not really an average model. So she ended up sending him home after that because the conversation, there was never any depth to it. There was never any, hey, let me find out more about you. It's more, let me brag about myself and my superficial looks. One of the things that he shared when he was trying to get the guy to stop arguing with him was that he grew up with a mother who had multiple mental disorders, which kind of gave clarity into why this guy is the way that he is, because sometimes the way a person is parented can have an impact. If he always had a mother that had a lot of mental issues, then what does that say for how you have to take care of yourself as a child? You almost have to be your own best friend or your own guide, or you have to make yourself superior in order to feel okay and to survive things that other kids don't have to deal with. You compensate in some sort of way, and that's probably a major part of how he became a possible narcissist, and it also could be a genetic thing as well. So in the end, when he's in the car, he makes a comment, I was vulnerable but got no reward. I guess he was there for the reward for winning, not actually winning someone's heart or true love. But he said what he appreciates most about Becca was that she stated, she never met anyone like me, because I do feel unique. Then he said, I'm smart, I do have a look, I can speak, I can walk, and I'm fit. I wish I knew what she didn't like about me. It's kind of sad in the end. Now that you have some of the criteria or some of the impairments that someone may have, you can watch TV and there are narcissists on that might help you to make a decision as to whether or not you have a narcissist in your life. Please give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe channel, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.